So let's start at the beginning, in a chapter you could call A Cobbler's Faith. We find ourselves in a dusty marketplace, and we meet our main character, a simple, deeply religious cobbler named Hassan.
So, Hassan, picture this guy. His hands are rough from work, but his heart, incredibly soft. He and his wife Zainab, they're respected for their quiet dignity, but they carry this one deep, silent sadness. They don't have any children, and they've come to accept it, just trusting that it's all part of God's greater plan.
Well, one day, this traveler shows up at Hassan's little shop. The guy's shoes are falling apart, and he doesn't have a single coin on him. Now, Hassan himself is waiting for his next customer just to be able to afford dinner. But he doesn't even blink. He invites the man in, pulls out his very best leather, and fixes the shoes like they belong to a king. And when the man thanks him, Hassan says something amazing. He says his business isn't really with man, it's with God.
And you'd think that's the end of it, right? A simple good deed. But nope. This one small act of kindness, done with a completely pure heart, kicks off a whole chain reaction. Hassan is about to enter what the story calls the period of trials, and it's going to push his faith right to the edge. And the pressure doesn't just build, it explodes. First, a new tax is announced, double what it was before. There's no way Hassan can pay. Then, the very next day, his landlord shows up, demanding not just the new tax, but all the back rent he owes. He's threatening eviction. I mean, the walls are just closing in on him.
Just when it feels like there's no way out, guess who's back? It's the traveler. Only he's not a poor wanderer anymore. Turns out he's the vizier's son. And he offers Hassan a bag heavy with 50 gold dinars. We're talking a life-changing fortune that could wipe away every single one of his problems in an instant.
But Hassan's response, this is where things get really incredible. He gently pushes the bag of gold away. He explains that he did what he did for the sake of God, and if he accepts money for it now, well, that turns a heavenly deed into a simple earthly transaction, and it loses all of its real value. And this is just the most twisted irony, right? The vizier is so impressed by Hassan's character that he cancels his tax for the whole year. What a relief. But when the landlord hears that Hassan turned down a fortune, his greed just turns into pure rage. He gives Hassan one last chance. Pay everything by tomorrow, or you're out on the street.
So one problem gets solved, but it just creates an even bigger, more impossible one. And that leads us right to the climax of the story, what we're calling the greatest sacrifice. Hassan is about to face the most gut-wrenching decision of his life. With the deadline just hours away, Zainab brings out their very last hope. It's not just some piece of jewelry. It's a necklace that belonged to Hassan's late mother. It's packed with memories, with love. It's literally the last thing of value they have in the entire world. As Hassan is walking to the jeweler, his heart just heavy as a stone, he hears this sound that just slices right through all the market noise. A woman weeping uncontrollably. He sees her, and she's clutching this pale, sick child, whispering over and over that she has no money for medicine. So there it is, the choice. In his pocket, he has the key to saving his shop, his future, everything he's worked for. But right in front of him is a child whose life is literally hanging by a thread. What do you do? And you know what? He doesn't even hesitate. Not for a second. He goes straight to the jeweler, sells his mother's precious necklace, and takes every single coin and gives it to that desperate mother. He walks back to his shop with empty hands, knowing he's about to lose everything, but feeling a sense of peace that's just impossible to describe. But an act like that, a sacrifice so total, it doesn't just fade into the background. Now we get to the part of the story called the reward from Allah, because the universe, you see, is about to answer back. As Hassan is getting ready to leave his shop for the last time, this dignified old man, Abdurrahim, walks up. He says he saw the whole thing in the market, and he kind of challenges Hassan. He asked him, what kind of business is that, trading your entire shop for a stranger's child? And Hassan's answer, wow, it's so simple, but it explains his entire worldview. He just says that the things of this world, they don't last, but what's with God is forever. The child was dying, the shop was not. How, he asks, could I ever value stone above a human soul? And then the old man smiles, because he's not just some random guy watching from the crowd. He's Abdul Rahim, the king's chief minister. And he tells Hassan that someone at the palace wants to meet the man who does business with God, and that he needs to be there the next day. So,
The cobbler is on his way to the palace, and this is where we get to the final part of our story, the part we'll call the true wealth. This is where Hassan discovers a reward that's worth so much more than gold or silver. Inside, Hassan is faced with one last test, the ultimate test, really. The minister shows him a massive diamond, enough wealth to live like a king forever. And then he offers him a second choice, the difficult, thankless job of running a new orphanage and hospital. For Hassan, it isn't even a choice. He pushes the diamond aside and accepts a life of service. And that one choice, it just completely reshapes his life. Hassan, the man who had no children of his own, becomes a father to every single orphan in the village. He dedicates his life to serving others, and in doing so, he finds a kind of fulfillment that no diamond could ever buy. Years and years go by. Hassan and Zainab are old now. Their hair is white. They've long since made peace with not having children. Their home filled instead with their love for each other and the community. And then, the doctor comes with news that seems absolutely impossible. Zainab is pregnant.
They name their son Yahya. And the meaning is just perfect. It means he lives. This child wasn't just a son. He was like a living symbol of their entire journey, a symbol of hope that was renewed, a promise that was finally fulfilled after a lifetime of faith. So what's the big takeaway here? I think it's this. True wealth isn't what you collect for yourself, but what you give away for something bigger than yourself. Hassan the cobbler's life is this incredible reminder that the things you sacrifice out of faith, they aren't really losses at all. They're investments in something far, far greater.